Okay, so I'm going to try and make this interactive, which given the format is a bit of a challenge. Okay, so when I say go, I'm going to need you to plunge into this with utter reckless cerebral abandon. Okay, now, it's not, here's the thing. So it's not that I think that the quality of our thinking has diminished in recent years, but the opportunity to broadcast our thinking has gone through the roof. For good or bad. Okay? And you know, this is a real challenge when it comes to thinking, because as human beings, you know, the way we think is fundamentally important, and I want to focus on the outputs of thinking, the quality. Now, human beings do not come with an instruction manual. Okay? We learn to do the things we learn to do by experience and trial and error, and some of them slightly more messy than others. And the events that we go through really shape the way we think. But here's the challenge. Our brains and the way we think is not like a car. It's not like when it breaks down, smoke comes out of our ears, or there's this kind of red dial that redlines when we go past our mental capacity. But that's exactly where I want to take you to, above and beyond your mental capacity right now, okay? So you can see this series of 4 individual numbers, okay? So this is like 0 through 9. Now, what I want you to do, and what I say, is you're going to add 1 to each of these numbers. Okay, pretty straightforward, okay? So this is the 0, 3, 9, 0, 3, 9, 4 becomes this. Okay, now what's going to happen, these numbers are going to rotate, and then the big thing will say go, and I want you to say out loud the number, but adding 1 to each one. Okay, everybody got what we're doing? You need to say it out loud, so go! 2, 3, 4! Faster than that, go! Good. Go! 3, 6! You're all going to do this, come on! You're going to add 3 to each number. Okay, so 3 will become 2, 8 becomes 1, 6, okay, ready? Everybody get what we're going to do, add 3 to each of the numbers, you don't have to carry over. No carrying over, just ready? Go! Faster than that, come on. Too slow. This tough is because human beings at any minute in time only have a certain amount of mental capacity. Okay? That is not me as a child, no, it is not. And the reason for this is that there's a tiny part of the brain called the reticular activation system. It divides the wealth of information we're bombarded with into 2 areas, the conscious, which we've just completely overloaded, and the subconscious. Okay, everything else gets tucked in there. Now this is really important for a couple of reasons. It's a very simple mechanism. Okay, but if we're going to try and start to think better, what we have to do is try and understand the impact that this system has on the way we think. Okay, so the simplest way I found of articulating this is a very simple equation which should appear now. There it is. Equals I, which stands for an event plus a response gives now. Let me explain what I mean. We're bombarded with information we can't possibly take in everything that we're exposed to. So as a survival mechanism, we create these filters, and it's oh, they've gone over there somehow. We generalize, we delete, and we distort, and we apply these filters to essentially create a mental map. Okay, it's not a representation of the event. Now, it's not full of all the facts, okay? But because of my experience in life, my map might look really different to yours. Okay, that looks really uncomfortable, and I'm not going to get into the argument of flattening out a sphere, but that's factually accurate. Okay, but it's really uncomfortable to look at, because we're not used to looking at it that way. You know, when we see what we see differently. Now, Ivan Pavlov showed this, the conditioned response with the pack of dogs. You know, you do the same thing over and over again, the responses become habitual. But we're all creatures of habit, especially in how we think. And it creates this kind of behavioural inertia in what we do. Now, here's another thing. So this is a real curveball for you. So if, it's gone. So if a bat and a ball, listen to this, if a bat and a ball costs $1.10, but the bat costs $1 more than the ball, how much does the ball cost? Show of hands for 10 cents. Show of hands for 10 cents? Show of hands for 5 cents? Okay, good. Well, I don't know. So the answer is 5 cents. Most people jump to 10 because it's in the question. It becomes immediately available. We've primed our brains to think in a certain way. It's not complex math, but people jump to it. And often our way of thinking is primed by information based on its proximity to our brains, and it really creates a lot of problems. I'll give you another example. If I said, how would we improve on this? You say, oh, well, we use peanut butter, and seeing as we're in the valley, some people say, we'll make it more humane. Got to kick me. So, we won't get to this unless we frame it question differently, which is what is the best way to catch mice? So often we prime our thinking in a certain way, depending on the starting point. It's really important. Now this is a real challenge. By asking questions wrongly, we create a working hypothesis. We can then go and find evidence that supports anything. Okay, and we're not being taught how to think critically. We expect kids to be able to think by the virtue they've been through school. And so what happens is our mental maps are made up of 3 things. They're made up of facts, opinions, and guesses. Okay? And fog. And we need to be brave and call out our opinions and guesses for what they are, and to say, well, what are the differences? What could this be? What else could it be? Because if we don't do that, great ideas can end up here. And that's a real travesty. Now, last slide coming up. So, very, very quickly, I'd like you all to fold your arms. Super quick. Go, 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 go. Okay, you'll notice that either your left arm goes over your right, or your right arm goes over your left. Now, what I'd like you to do is swap them over. Okay, so keep them there, keep them there. Now, given the choice, most people would go back to the way they've always done it, and guess what? It's exactly the same with the way we think. Okay, doing it differently is often uncomfortable, but here's the rub. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Thanks very much.